welcome to the live stream today at Chester First Baptist Church, and we are glad that you have decided to join us today. And we are going to have a great service. We're going to start a brand new sermon series called 5 Prayers of Peace. We've got special music for you today, and we are just glad that you've decided to virtually join us in worship. Real quick announcement: next Sunday morning, Mother's Day, we are going to have our first drive-in worship experience. We're going to do that at 9:30 next Sunday morning. After that, we'll do 10:30, but I know that Mother's Day is a special day, and lots of people want to, they're going to take some time to do some things that they want to do on Mother's Day, so we're going to start a little bit early, like an hour early, 9:30, but after that, we'll go back to our 10:30 time. Thank you so much for being with us today. Just know that we love you and that Jesus loves you, and worship with us this morning as we worship the King of Kings.
Praise, deserves praise, never lips, my righteousness, oh God, how I need you.
We've got a very special soloist this morning with us. We've been trying to bring in some guests, but I know we've not seen each other for a while. I've got Miss Brenda Williamson who's going to be singing. She's going to sing a great song, the Lord's Prayer, and it fits right into where we're going with 5 prayers of peace. And so I just want you to be blessed and by the song, and just be encouraged by the words, because there's still a promise. They are still so good for us every time. And we thank the Lord for His mercy and His grace and His grace. So, Ms. Brenda, thank you so much. When we think of peace, we oftentimes think of a picture of absence. That peace is the absence of conflict. Peace is the absence of disruption. Peace is the absence of hostilities. Peace is the absence of war. A few years ago, the Moody Bible Institute put some information out there about war, about peace. And they said of the last 3,530 years of recorded history, only 286 of those years has humankind experienced peace. Now, I was trying to put that in perspective for us. If the timeline of recorded history is from here to St. Louis, from here to St. Louis is 63 miles. If that was the arc of recorded history, then we would only have peace from about here to the old Guten Tag orchard. We would only have peace for about 5 miles of that 63 miles from here to St. Louis. And that's not a very long time. That's only 8% of the time we've been here. And in that same amount of time, there have been over 8,000 peace treaties that have been made and broken. The biblical concept of peace really doesn't paint a picture of an absence of war, an absence of conflict. In fact, when we look at the biblical picture of peace, it's really what peace is, what's present in peace. The biblical concept of peace is shalom, or completeness, or wholeness, or living well, or doing well. It means to be whole, or to be sound. Biblical peace is not the absence of conflict, or war, or difficulties, or danger. But biblical peace is found in the presence of God. Psalm 29 verse 11 says this: "The Lord will give strength to His people, and the Lord will bless His people with peace, or shalom. Now, there are some songs that are meant to be sung when the sun is shining and everything is well and everything is as it should be. There are songs that could be sung when you're celebrating. There are some songs that are kind of the walking on sunshine version of a song. But then there are other songs that are written that are more, if I leave here tomorrow, more of a melancholy sound, more of a Freebird type of thing. Some songs in the Psalms are meant to be sung on a bright sunny day. This is not one of those songs. This is to be sung when life is coming at you like a tornado wrapped in a hurricane, nestled in a box of tsunamis. This is a song that is saying when the storms are coming, when things are bad on you. And we know that this song was written by David. David was an outdoorsman. He grew up out in the pastures raising sheep. He raised that flock and took care of that flock. He'd stay out there all night. This is a guy that would see the storm coming in from across the valley. David was a guy who could see the flood and the hurricane, the tsunamis, and the giant waves of the Mediterranean Sea. This is a guy who could see all this. And he would always see God's power in nature. He would always see God's glory as it is expressed in nature. And Psalm 29, he talks about the flood, and he talks about the tempest, and he talks about the tornado. And what David says is, God, I saw you and all that, and you were on top of it. In verse 10 of Psalm 29, David writes this: the Lord sat as king at the flood. Or literally, he sat on the flood. David is saying the flood was underneath him. And those next words, yes, the Lord sits as king forever. I want you to think of all the storms in your life today. I want you to think about your storms of fear, your storms of worry, your storms that have you frightened and anxious. Now I want you to think about this. All those storms that frighten us and scare us. God is in the same place he was in Psalm 29, verse 11. All your fears are under the power and glory of God. All your anxiety are under the power and glory of God. Whatever storm you're fussing about, I want you to understand something. They are underneath God. He is over them. Whether you fear COVID-19 or the reality or the threat of being unemployed or the pressure of maybe finishing school if you're a senior or a graduating college student or an 8th grader, there's that fear of what do you do now? And you might say, well that's exactly where I'm at, Pastor. The opposite of peace is not war. The opposite of peace is anxiety. The opposite of peace is fear. Now, God is bigger than every one of our fears, every one of our hurts, every one of our anger or hurt or our fear or our scars. God is greater than all of those. These things are underneath him. And what happens, and we're seeing this in our own culture, in our own society, in our own region, fear spreads. I mean, fear spreads and anxiety spreads like a pandemic. But I've got good news for you. God has provided a vaccine for fear. And the vaccine for fear is peace. And so God offers us this peace vaccine against our worries. And as Christians, we've discovered, we already know what the peace of Jesus feels like. We have already experienced what the peace of Jesus feels like. And when we experience the peace of Jesus, it doesn't mean we don't have any worries, or we don't have any fears, or we don't have any storms in our life. That's not what that means at all. Peace in Jesus means this: we're going to go through the storm. We're going to go through the valley. We're going to go through difficult times, but we're not going through it alone. We're going through it with the presence of Jesus in our lives. But what Jesus says in John chapter 7, he says, the one who believes in me, as the scripture has said, will have streams of living water flow from deep within him or her. When we meet Jesus, there is a well that's placed inside of us with living water. Now, back in the day, back in the medieval time, there were all kinds of castles in Europe. And there were castles that had the well inside the walls, and then there were castles that had wells outside the wall. Now, the best situation is if you could have your wells dug into the springs already inside the castle. But sometimes, if you had a castle, you had to build an aqueduct from the outside of the walls inside. Now, if your enemy came to clean house or to take you down or destroy you, if you've got an aqueduct that's bringing water from outside inside, that aqueduct can fall prey to your foe. It can fall prey to your enemy. They will put some mud or bricks inside the aqueduct, and it will stop the water from getting inside the castle. And if you don't have any water, you're not going to fight very well. If you don't have any water, then things are going to get bad in a hurry. So the people who had the wells inside the walls were much better off. Y'all, the well that the world goes to for peace is oftentimes symbiotic. What I mean is this. Oftentimes the well that the world goes to for peace, it's dependent upon circumstances or situations. It's dependent upon your health. If you're healthy, then you're at peace. Or if you've got a really good bank account, then you've got money, you're at peace. Or whatever. But here's the thing. The well that the world goes to for their peace, if your situation changes, the peace is no longer there. If the circumstance changes, then the peace is no longer there. Let's say you lose your money. Then if you're going to that well of the world for peace, then the peace isn't there. So the source of peace that the world will go to oftentimes is dependent upon circumstances or situations or numbers or figures or things like that. But you know, guys, over the last couple months, that well that the world has went to, it has been poisoned. It's been poisoned with the Wuhan virus. It's been poisoned with social distancing. It's been poisoned with the state that we're in as a world where we're isolated and we're alone. And lots of people have a great amount of anxiety or a great amount of fear. Why? Because they've been going to a well whose source is built upon and based upon circumstances and situations. Now, the well that a Christian will go to is not the well that the world goes to for peace. You see, if you're a Christian, the well you go to has a name. His name is Jesus. That peace in that well is not dependent upon a circumstance. It's not dependent upon a situation. It's dependent upon a person. It's dependent upon the presence of Christ. And for those of us who know Jesus, He's come into our life, and guess what? He's brought a well of living water. And it's not on the outside trying to get inside of us. No, the well Jesus has brought is already inside. It's inside the castle walls. The enemy cannot take away or poison the well that's inside you, that is Jesus. The foe cannot poison the water that's inside you, because Jesus said there will be living water inside you. The enemy cannot affect it. You can let it, you can give it up, you can relinquish it, but the bottom line is, Jesus is saying, you have to. The living water, the well, is inside of us. The peace of Christ is springing up within us. 1 Peter 1:7 says this: these troubles come to prove that your faith is pure. The purity of faith is worth more than gold, which can be proved to be pure by fire, but will ruin. But the purity of your faith will bring you praise and glory and honor when Jesus Christ is shown to you. Y'all, when we speak of peace, it brings to mind to me an image of an ancient Japanese pottery tradition. It's called kintsugi. Kintsugi. Now, it'll be the last time I say that, and it's called kintsugi. It's a technique. And what the technique is that they'll take a clay vessel, and the artist will break it. And instead of getting out the super glue and putting it back together the way it was, kintsugi is the Japanese art form of they'll take all the pieces of that and they'll put them back together, but they'll use gold. And so the gold fills in the cracks. The gold brings all the pieces back together. And even though it's been cracked and broken, when it's brought back together and it's used, they use gold to bring it back together, it's actually stronger than what it was before. It's actually more beautiful than what it was before. It's more attractive. It's worth more than it was before. It's significant. Those scars no longer tell the story of oh, I'm broken, but the scars tell the story of oh, I've been restored. Y'all, many of us have scars that we try so hard to hide. And we're embarrassed of those scars, and we're ashamed of those scars, and we're apologetic of those scars, and we're embarrassed of those scars. But I encourage you today, stop being ashamed of those scars. Stop being embarrassed of those scars. You see, those scars can show somebody else that they can be healed. Just because you're scarred, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Your scars, and this is true, your scars can become a lighthouse for other people who are headed for the same rocks that you busted into. Your scars can be a lighthouse saying, hey, don't go down there. Our scars tell a story of how we were in the valley and God came and reached in, and by His mercy and by His grace, He pulled us out of the mess we were in. Now here's the thing. He'll bring healing, but that doesn't mean the scars go away. But don't be embarrassed of those scars because they tell a beautiful story. What if we get to heaven and God doesn't ask to see our degrees? He doesn't ask to see our giving records. He doesn't ask to see our tithing report. What if we get to heaven and God doesn't ask us where our letter of membership was? What if when we get to heaven, God doesn't ask us, oh, tell me about your doctrine, or tell me about your theology, or tell me where you stand on this particular dogma or this catechism. God's not going to ask us, oh, tell me about your ecclesiastical polity view. He's not going to ask us that. What if when we get to heaven, God doesn't ask us any of that stuff? What if He says, son, let me see your scars. Let me see what you came through. Let me hear from you where your trophies are. You see, y'all, our scars remind us we are stronger than whatever tried to hurt us, whatever tried to kill us, whatever tried to ruin us, whatever tried to destroy us. Our scars prove to us that we've made it out and we've lived to tell the story. Where does your strength come from? We see that in Psalm 29:11. The Lord will give strength to His people. Your strength and my strength comes from the Lord. Not from a well of money, not from a well of prestige, not from a well of reputation. Our peace comes from a person, and His name was Jesus. And by the way, another name for Jesus is the Prince of Peace. He's the Prince of Shalom. He's the Prince of Peace. And that He gives us peace. You know, God's people, as God's people, you have total access to all of God's strength. As God's people, you have access to all of God's peace. The Bible says this in Luke 24:36. After Jesus had been put to death, His disciples huddled in fear behind closed doors. Their own version of quarantine, if you will. Because they're scared. They're scared of what's on the outside. They're scared of what they might get into. They're scared of what other people could do. After all, they crucified Jesus. So these men are locked in their house. Filled with uncertainty, they're filled with despair. But suddenly they found themselves in the presence of their living Lord, the resurrected Jesus, with His glorified body. And at His first words, their fear disappeared. Why? Because this is what Jesus said. Peace to you. The vaccine for fear is peace. The answer to our individual fears is found in a personal faith in the living Lord. The answer to our fears is found in the faith of the glorified Lord. The answer to our collective fear is a corporate faith in the living, glorified Jesus. The answer to our national and international tensions, the answer to our national and international fears is Jesus, who is alive forevermore. So today, if you're scared, if you're uncertain, if you're overwhelmed, or if you're concerned of any of those things, one time or another, or at different times, I want to welcome you to the human race. Because we've all been fearful during this time. We've all been anxious during this time. We've all been a little scared during this time, a little uncertain. And I just want to welcome you. Don't feel bad if you've had those feelings. If we were honest, we would say we've all experienced them. But at the end of the day, no matter how many masks we wear, or how many gloves we use, or how much Purell we go through, we can only do so much. But that's also true in our life. We can only do so much. There comes a time where we do what we can. When we look to God and say, okay, God, I'm out. I'm out of options. I've done what I can by faith. What happens now is just going to have to be in your hands. No, you won't always be okay. But it's okay to not be okay. It's okay. You're not always going to be awesome in everything you do, no matter how hard you've tried, because there are just some things out of your control. You won't always remember to welcome the peace that's offered you at every moment, but the truth is, Jesus offers us peace at every moment. And it's bound to happen, because we're in uncharted waters. We've never been in this situation before. So yeah, fear is going to happen. Anxiety is going to occur. But God is still God, and He's above all this mess. He was with the Israelites through the mess in the desert. He was with Jesus, his son, through the mess on the crucifixion. God was with Noah through the flood. And He's promised that He's bigger than all the floods in our life, all the storms in our life, all the anxiety in our life. And what I'd like you to do with me right now, this is a prayer that is, this is a prayer I'm going to give this Sunday. If you want to know what this prayer is, go to our website, chesterfec.org. There is a month worth of prayer guide there, and this scripture and this prayer is there. Lord, thank you for the promise to give me strength. I trust that you will provide it right when I need it. No matter what I'm feeling or what situation I'm in, I can be confident that you will bless me with your peace. I refuse to let anything steal that peace, knowing that whatever comes my way, you have it under control. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, hey, I want to thank you for joining us today. I want to thank all the members of the Unfit Band. I want to thank Billy Rose and his lovely daughter, Montana. Thank you for that. Kelly, thank you for being in that. Miss Pam, my beautiful, lovely wife. Thank you for Chris Mathis, who's playing on the guitar. His son Victor runs our sound for us. Thank you guys for that. Thank you for Rich on bass. And did I forget anybody, Miss Pam? Brenda, thank you for being a wonderful soloist today. Brother Don's back there on our camera. James up here on our computer. Thank you, Kelsey, for putting the PowerPoints together. And the person we have in our virtual lobby greeting people, that's Miss Carrie Tripp. So Carrie, thank you for telling everybody hello and making everybody feel welcome. Again, I want to remind you about the prayer guides. The prayer guides are available at chesterfec.org. And if you would go over there, download, or you can just go there on a daily basis. But there's a scripture and what we're praying for. And we'd love for you to join us in prayer. Next Sunday, we're going to drive-in worship service. Hope to see you at First Baptist Church at 9:30 next Sunday morning on Mother's Day. And on our website, chesterfec.org, there's a whole list of rules, precautions, and guidelines that will be in effect. So we encourage you to go there and look. We want to go back to having some semblance of an assembly together. So that's what we're doing. Follow us on social media, on our Facebook page. If you're already watching us, then you know what our Facebook page is. It's Chester, ILFBC, Chester, Illinois, FBC. Maybe you've got friends or relatives, acquaintances, or neighbors who are not on Facebook. They can catch up on all of our services on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is Chester FBC. And they can go back and pick up any of those. Giving, you can give online. You all have been very faithful with your giving. As you can give online at Chester FBC Giving. You can text in your offering. You can go to PayPal with your offering. You can send it snail mail if you want to. However you would want to give, because giving is a part of worship. Giving is an extension of worship, and we encourage you to give. Thank you again so much for being part of this live stream. We hope to see you Wednesday night at 6:30 in the live stream again. God bless you.